Prudent Scholars in association with Goa Headmasters Association.
Garam chai, garam chai. Well, these are the words that you hear when you are at the railway station or in one of the compartment of the train. And I feel really very excited because tea is something which really gives me a lot of pleasure. As in, I enjoy having a lot of tea. Sometimes I call myself a tea-holic. Do you love tea, students? Well, if you love tea and if you want to know more about tea and the tea plantations, today I am going to be taking to you to a beautiful place in India which is called Assam. A very good day, students. This is teacher Sandra here with the third part of Glimpses of India, Tea from Assam, and this lesson is written by Arup Kumar Datta. Alright, students, let us find out about this beautiful place, Assam. Well, how many of you have been to this place? Have you been to this place called Darjeeling where we have such beautiful tea gardens? Alright. Have you been to any other state in India which gives you a view of coffee plantations, tea plantations? Well, Assam is one place. If you go there, the view is breathtaking, of course. As you see, the tea plantations spread from acres to acres, all right. We have got huge land which is grown for tea. Now in this lesson, we will understand how tea was discovered. Well, students, Assam is such a beautiful place that everybody would definitely want to, experience the place. You can see in the pictures how beautiful these doll-like figures are seen, all right, plucking the tea leaves, all right, from the tea plants. And those tea plants are not huge trees, they are small tea plants. And these women there are at work, okay, they are in the tea gardens plucking the tea leaves. So let us look at the summary of this lesson before I start explaining to you. There are two boys here, one is Pranjol and the other one is Rajveer. They are both classmates and they study in a school in Delhi. Pranjol's parents are living in Assam. His father is a manager of tea garden in Upper Pranjol. In the train journey, Rajveer shares his experience. That is, he's read a lot of books about tea, all right, and he shares his experience with Pranjol, all right. Rajveer is invited to Assam by Pranjol. In the train journey, Rajveer told that over 8 million cups of tea were drunk daily in the world, okay. On the way, they view a magnificent sight of tea bushes. So, as they are traveling in the train, Pranjol and Rajveer can have a look at the lovely tea bushes which they can see, all right, on both the sides. And Rajveer is enjoying this excitement because he is going to a place which he has never been before. On the way, yes, they view the beautiful tea bushes. Pranjol told about the tea country and some legends about tea. So, tea has got some legends. How was tea discovered? We are going to be studying about that in the later part of this lesson. Rajveer told that tea was first drunk in China. So, where do we know that first tea was drunk, all right, by the people? Well, it was in China. Chai and chini have come from Chinese. So, these two words, they are Indian words. Chai means tea and chini means sugar. So, these two words also have come from China, okay. In 16th century, tea came to Europe as a medicine. You know, the Chinese, even till today, they drink tea as a medicine. They consume a lot of green tea, all right. Unlike we Goans or Indians who are happy to have milk tea. Of course, it has to be nice and strong. Even a small cup of tea would make us happy, will make us really happy and fresh. Early morning, we start our day with a cup of tea. Then in the evening, again, we want to have another cup of tea. In between, there are a lot of people who also want to have sips of tea. They are called teaholics. Okay, so today you see students, tea is enjoyed by people all over the globe. It's not only in China or it's not only in parts of Europe or any other country. Even in India, alright, we see large number of people consuming tea. You go to the railway station, you hear people, you know, shouting out loudly, garam chai, and it is being sold in every compartment. Because without tea, we feel that our day is incomplete, alright. But nowadays, the youngsters, they have given up having milk tea or rather, you know, they don't have tea at all. They are more into having herbal teas, green teas, which are more healthy. And these green teas have got a lot of medicinal effect, all right. So students, let us now study more about tea from Assam, about the beautiful tea plantations. One can see while in Assam, the people, especially the women who worked in those tea plantations, you know, they have those baskets behind their backs, they wear those aprons, they've got those pretty looks. Assamese look, of course, very pretty. They are like dolls, they say. So you get a picture of these beautiful people while in Assam. And Assam is a place also which offers you varieties of tea. It's not just one type of tea. Today you go to the market, you say, okay, give me tea, okay, or you might buy a ready-made tea packet. But if you go to Assam, you get flavors of tea. Well, while I was in Assam, I had strawberry tea, I had chocolate tea, vanilla tea, black teas, and many other types of teas. So students, let us now find out more about tea from Assam. A few points that I have already explained to you in this lesson. You can see the pictures of green teas here, all right. We have 2 cups over there and both are green teas which are very healthy, and below you can see a picture here of the tea garden, okay, in Assam. Now let us read this lesson. Garam chai, a vendor called out in a high-pitched voice. He came up to their window and asked, "Chai sab?" So, whenever you are traveling and the train is at a halt, or even when the train has started, you see those vendors, no? They are called tea vendors. They come with their kettles with tea inside. And everybody in the compartment, if not everybody, at least people who love tea, they like to have a sip of tea. So here is how it goes. Garam chai. A vendor called out in a high-pitched voice. What is the meaning of high-pitched voice? Very loudly he has to say it, okay, so that everybody in the compartment can hear his voice that he is selling tea. He came up to their window and asked, "Chai sab?" So he came next to the window where Pranjol and Rajveer were sitting and he asked them, "Do you want chai? Do you want tea?" "Give us 2 cups, Pranjol said. And Pranjol said, "You can give us 2 cups. They sipped the steaming hot liquid. Do you like to have tea when it is hot or when it is cold? Well, students, I prefer to have it is when it is steaming hot. You actually get the flavor. So that's exactly what Pranjol and Rajveer did as well. Almost everyone in their compartment was drinking tea too. So they too, people in the compartment were enjoying drinking the tea. Now, do you know that 80 crore cups of tea are drunk every day throughout the world? 80 crore cups of tea. Wow, that's a huge number. And I'm sure now the number is much more, all right? This was some years back and we have still so many more people drinking tea. Rajveer said this. Wow, exclaimed Pranjol. Tea really is very popular. And Pranjol says, of course, tea is it is very popular in our country. The train pulled out of the station. So that means now it began to move. Pranjol buried his nose in his detective book. That means he once again started reading his detective book. He was very fond of reading books, Pranjol. Rajveer too was an ardent fan of detective stories. What is the meaning of ardent, student? Very strong, no? Someone who has got a very strong desire to read books. So that was about Rajveer. He also read a lot of detective stories, but at the moment he was keener at looking at the beautiful scenery. More than reading the detective story, okay, he was keen on looking outside because he was going to Assam for the first time. So for him, those beautiful scenes was definitely a feast to his eyes. It was green, green everywhere. So he could see the beautiful greenery all around. Rajveer had never seen so much of greenery before, and living in a city, Rajveer had never experienced so much of greenery before. You know how Delhi is, no? It is a very crowded city. Everywhere, it's a concrete jungle, I can say. Everywhere, buildings and markets, malls, so much so that they don't have much greenery around. So for Rajveer, definitely this was something very beautiful. Then the soft green paddy fields gave way to tea bushes. And as the train was moving towards the paddy fields, it gave way to tea bushes. Now Rajveer could have a look at the tea bushes. Alright students, so we now see how Rajveer was enjoying this beautiful place. It was green, green everywhere. Rajveer never seen so much of greenery before than the soft green paddy fields which gave way to tea bushes. It was a magnificent view. Students, what is the meaning of magnificent? Something which is extremely beautiful, okay? Against the backdrop of densely wooded hills, a sea of tea bushes stretched as far as the eye could see. So against the backdrop, you can see a beautiful backdrop of densely wooded hills. So in this background of wooded beautiful hills, you could also see bushes of tea. Tea plants are not huge, okay, they are small, and of course they can be pruned. Pruned means shaped the way you want as well, alright. Dwarfing the tiny tea plants. What is the meaning of dwarfing, students? It means cause to seem small. These tea bushes were looking like dwarfs, okay, very small. There were tall, sturdy shade trees, and amidst the orderly rows of bushes busily moved doll-like figures. So you could also see in the background tall sturdy trees, okay, among these tea plants as well, and amidst these tree bushes there were busily moving doll-like figures. You can see the picture of that beautiful girl there with a basket behind her back plucking the tree leaves, okay. There's also another woman there, woman who is collecting the tea leaves and putting them in her basket. In the distance was an ugly building. So from the train itself, alright, Rajveer could see an ugly building with smoke billowing out of tall chimneys. Students, I have marked the word billowing there. Those of you who don't know the meaning of billowing, it means filled with air and swelling outwards. So there was a lot of air, alright, which was filled with a lot of toxic gas which was being emitted from those buildings, okay, which was seen from far away. And they had tall chimneys which were billowing a lot of toxic gases, alright. Hey, a tea garden, Rajveer cried excitedly. And as they were drawing closer to the tea gardens, for Rajveer this was excitement. So excitedly he said, hey, look there, there's a tea garden. Pranjal, who had been born and brought up on a tea plantation, didn't share Rajveer's excitement. So for Pranjal, it was just another ordinary sight because he was born and brought up in a tea plantation. So if you are born and brought up in a tea plantation, obviously you are not going to be also sharing the excitement like Rajveer's. So for Pranjal, it was just another ordinary sight. Oh, this is a tea country now, he said, Assam. And he told Rajveer, you know Rajveer, this is a tea plantation and we have reached to this beautiful state of India, Assam. It has the largest concentrations of plantations in the world. You know, students, there are also tourists from all over the globe specially wanting to visit Assam. Okay, why do they want to come to Assam? Because Assam is the largest producer of tea in the world. Such beautiful plantations one can find while in Assam. And as I have told you, the varieties of teas that you find over there is mind-blowing. Okay, you can really experience this beautiful place, Assam. You will see enough gardens to last you a lifetime. I have never been reading as much as I could about tea, Rajveer said. No one really knows who discovered tea, but there are many legends. So now Rajveer had read a lot about tea, okay. He was trying to make a lot of research about tea because he was going to a place which was full of tea gardens, alright. So obviously he wanted to know more, and he was also a very ardent reader of books, okay, detective books, story books. So he was now more interested, he was more interested to know about the legends, okay, and about the discovery of tea. So then he says, what legends? Well, there's one about the Chinese emperor who always boiled water before drinking it. So you have to keep in mind two legends, students. One is the Indian legend about tea, and the second legend is a Chinese legend, okay. We now see what is the Chinese legend. The Chinese legend goes like this. The Chinese emperor always boiled water before drinking it. One day what happened? A few leaves of the twigs burning under the pot fell into the water. Water was getting boiled, and he was sitting under the tree. As he was sitting there, a few leaves of the twigs fell inside the pot. And what happened? As they fell in the pot, it gave a delicious flavor to that water. It is said they were tea leaves, and hence then, since then, tea was discovered. So this is the Chinese legend about tea. So students, let me say it again. The Chinese legend is very important, okay. A Chinese emperor once, he boiled water. Once means as in every time he had the habit of boiling water before drinking it. One day the few leaves of the twigs, okay, before burning under the pot fell into the water. So the leaves of the branches of the tree fell into the pot as he was boiling the water. And as these leaves were added to the boiling water, it gave a very delicious flavor to the water, which was then discovered as tea. So in the pictures you can see the Chinese emperor sitting under the tree and boiling water. And besides that, you can also see a beautiful picture of the Assam tea gardens. Let us now move on to our next part of the lesson. Tell me another, scoffed Pranjal. So Pranjal was very excited, you know, and he was ready to tell the next story about how tea was discovered. Now he says we have an Indian legend too. Bodhidharma, an ancient Buddhist ascetic, cut off his eyelids because he felt sleepy during meditation. I'm sure you'll have a good laugh thinking about this. What is this about? Alright, what did an ancient Buddhist ascetic do he was feeling very sleepy during meditation. So he cut off his eyelids, okay, because he felt sleepy during meditation. What happened after that? 10 tea plants grew out of the eyelids. And when he cut the eyelids, there were 10 tea plants which grew out on the eyelids. The leaves of these plants, when put in hot water and drunk, banished sleep. Isn't it something really funny, students? So this is an Indian legend about tea. Okay, let's see what it is again. Bodhidharma, an ancient Buddhist ascetic, a Buddhist monk, he cut off his eyelids, okay. Why did he cut his eyelids? Because he felt sleepy during meditation. Now what happened? 10 tea plants grew out of the eyelids. after he cut them. And the leaves of these plants, when put in hot water, all right, could be drunk. Of course, the water could be drunk as tea, and it banished sleep. It took away his sleep. Banish means he did not any longer feel sleepy during meditation. So students, I hope you have understood the two legends of tea. One is the Indian legend and the second one is a Chinese legend. Chinese legend, you need to keep in mind about how he boiled water, and as he was sitting under the tree, the leaves of the twigs, all right, fell into the pot, and as a result of which gave a delicious flavor to the water, which was then used as tea. Second is the Indian legend, which I have already explained to you. Tea was first drunk in China, Rajveer added, as far back as 2700 BC. In fact, words such as tea, chai and chini are from Chinese. So, keep this in mind, tea was first drunk in China, okay. That is, the Chinese first drank tea. Rajveer gave this information, and when did it start? 2700 BC, that is that time. In fact, all these words like chai, chini, they come from the Chinese. Tea came to Europe only in the 16th century, much later, okay, and was drunk more as a medicine than as beverage. So, the Europeans had tea more as a medicine than as a beverage. Beverage means something that we keep drinking because we like to have it, all right. Students, I have also explained to you the meaning of scoffed. Scoffed means speak to someone, okay. Okay, we move on to our next part of the lesson now. The train clattered into Mariani Junction. So, what is the meaning of clattered? It halted, okay. It stopped at the Mariani Junction. The boys collected their luggage and pushed their way to the crowded platform. So, as they reached to their place now, that is the Mariani Junction, the boys collected their luggage, all set now to discover. Rajveer wanted to discover, of course, Pranjal was born and brought up in Assam on the tea gardens, okay. They pushed their way to the crowded platform and they alighted from the train and pushed their way. The platform was very crowded. They now tried to move as they wanted to find their parents. Pranjal's parents were waiting for them. Soon they were driving towards the Kyabari, the tea garden managed by Pranjal's father. So, very excited to be with the parents. Finally, Pranjal and his friend Rajveer now were moving on to their tea garden, that is at Dekyabari. That is the tea garden where Pranjal's father owned the tea estate. An hour later, the car veered sharply off the main road. So, it took a sharp turn off the main road and they crossed a cattle bridge and entered the Kyabari tea estate. Have you heard about a cattle bridge? I don't know, students, whether if you have seen one, but in the olden days there were those small bridges, okay, to cross. So, not big vehicles could move on them, small bridges. So, they crossed that cattle bridge and entered the Dekyabari tea estate. So, here is the picture of the Dekyabari tea estate, students. I am sure looking at the picture, one will say, wow, this place looks so beautiful. Huh? And you can see the picture also of people all clattered, no? People all gathering around the train, that is, they are at the station waiting to board the train. What's the meaning of clattered, students? I have already told you this, to make a continuous rattling sound, alright. So, finally being at the tea garden, Rajveer was very excited. He got to see so much while in Assam, and his friend, of course, Pranjal also gave him a lot of his experiences, shared a lot of experiences of tea garden, and Rajveer was more interested because, as I told you, he wanted to know more and more about things that were around the place, so that once he goes back to Delhi, he wanted to share his impressions about the tea gardens of Assam with his friends. So students, with this we have come to an end of that particular slide. We move on to the next one. On both sides of the gravel road were acre upon acre of tea bushes, all nearly pruned to the same height. Groups of tea pluckers with bamboo baskets on their backs, wearing plastic aprons for plucking the newly sprouted leaves. Pranjol's father slowed down to allow a tractor pulling a trailer load of tea leaves to pass. This is the second flush or sprouted period, isn't it, Mr. Barua? Rajveer asked. It lasts from May to July and yields the best of tea. So, as they were at the tea garden, okay, Pranjol's father slowed down a little bit because they saw a tractor there which was pulling a trailer, all right, loaded with tea leaves, and it wanted to pass. So he said, this is the second flush. So just like how we have seasons for growing different types of crops in Goa, we grow rice, right? So in Assam, they also have a season to collect the tea leaves. So this is the second flush or sprouting period, isn't it, Mr. Barua? This is what Rajveer asked Pranjol's father. And then he also said that the season lasts from May to July. You seem to have done your homework before coming, Pranjol's father said in surprise. And Pranjol's father tells Rajveer, you seem to have done your homework really well. You know so much about this place, you know so much of information about the tea gardens, you know, and more. Yes, Mr. Barua, Rajveer admitted. So he said, yes, I've done a lot of homework. I've read a lot about the tea gardens because I was very much interested since I was going to a place which was full of tea gardens. But I hope to learn much more while I'm here. And he says, I hope to learn more about tea while I'm here. So students, Rajveer had gathered a lot of information about tea while he was in Assam. Whenever we go to a particular place, all right, please make sure, just like Rajveer, you also find out a lot of information about that place. What is it known for? What is the importance of that particular place? So that all these things can be noted and you can share your experience of, being in that place with your families and your friends. Rajveer was a very intelligent boy. He noted all these things. Besides noting, he also made a good study. And Pranjol's father was really very, he was himself surprised to know that Rajveer had done so much of study about the tea gardens. So students, here we come to an end of the lesson, Tea from Assam. Come, let us have some tea and continue to talk about, well, I'm sure, happy things happen over a cup of tea. So students, once again, I hope all of you have understood all these 3 different chapters of Glimpses of India. Alright, the first one was the baker from Goa. The second one that I have dealt is Kurg, and the third lesson is tea from Assam. With this, we have come to an end of this chapter, Tea from Assam. Thank you.